Sir, should we
welcome
start?
to Mr. Gaurav. Yes, please start.
Good evening, Mr. Huda.
Good evening.
Sir, Ajay sir has also joined us today.
That's great.
Hi, Professor Huda.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good to have you. Good to have you.
Yeah, nice to see
From
you.
India or from US?
Now in India only.
Oh, that's great. Wow. Okay, let's start.
Yes, sir. A very pleasant evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, in association with Computational Intelligence Society, CIS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Society CS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society TEMS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network Affinity Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relations and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, Site Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, with the Associations of Computer Society of India, CSI, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, IITP, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborators. Welcome you all to this webinar on Metaverse, a new frontier of digital interaction. It is a moment of pride and honor to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution to the monumental occasions Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative to celebrate 75 years of glorious independence, as well as contribute our bit in seeking to find practical global solutions for the benefit of all. The aim of India during its G20 presidency tenure in 2023. This webinar is an initiative to mark both these monumentous occasions, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, as well as our G20 presidency. Neil Stephenson is the person credited with the first connecting term, metaverse, to the idea of an immersive virtual reality in his 1992 novel Snow Crash. His vision of the metaverse included avatars, multi-user online experience, and environments that function as substitute arenas for real-world interaction. All of these are integral to the idea of metaverse as it is being sold by multinational enterprise companies today. Metaverse is an emerging field that promises to revolutionize digital interaction. Today, we will talk about virtual worlds, avatars, and the social and economic implications of this technology. Gain knowledge on the challenges and opportunities of this emerging technology and its potential to transform the way we interact with each other and with digital objects. Explore the future possibilities of the metaverse and its role in creating new business opportunities, education, and entertainment. This session is aimed to discuss all these issues and concerns. I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We have a galaxy of experts. I would first request Professor Emin Huda Sir, Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, and Vice Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section, to address the participants with his inspiring words.
So, good evening, everyone. Am I audible, Dr. Ritika?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. And let me take this opportunity at the outset to welcome today's valued speaker, Mr. Gaurav, Director of Technology at Nagaro. My many friends, very special and dear friend, Mr. Ajay from Cape Germany, and many people from all across the country who keeps on waiting for this IEEE IET BVICAM webinar series. I take this opportunity to welcome you all in 118th lecture series of this technical lecture. This is 118th lecture series today on Metaverse. In fact, this IEEE IET BVICAM webinar series we started way back in June 2020 when we realized that entire world is down on account of COVID and we have no option but to keep engaging people for some or other constructive learning. And since then, we never looked back. And with consistency, with continuity, it is being continued. And that's how this has brought to a change that now, if I do not send link in time, I keep on receiving message on my WhatsApp group. Huda sahab, aaj ka link nahi aa gaya. Professor Huda, please send a link. So despite the fact it is being posted from so many social media platforms, but depending upon the topic, depending upon the area, the people who are there from all around the world and particularly from the academia, they keep on waiting this. And the topic which today has been selected is of course a topic which at this moment we may say is an evolving topic because the metaverse at this moment probably may seems or may sound little new, but in coming days they are going to become the reality. And that's how Dr. Ritika has rightly introduced the subject and said that this metaverse may become a vision of computer industry, that next iteration of internet. We have spoken about internet 1, internet 2.0, internet 3.0. We are talking of industrial revolution 5.0 now. So this could be a next generation internet which probably replace or which probably altogether change the entire experience of the people in the digital world. And that's how it is said that it may become a single platform where you can share immersive and persistent vision or activity related to 3D virtual space where human experiences life in the ways they could not be and they could not do that in the physical world. That can be realized with the help of the metaverse. Many even consider that metaverse may be the next step in the evolution of the internet, and may even people anticipate that it may heavily depend on virtual reality and augmented reality at this moment, but maybe in coming days we may not need to have all those kind of bulky devices for the purpose of augmented and virtual AR and VR kind of devices for realizing it, and maybe in a position to connect everyone, anyone and everyone on this earth. And that's how I was reading the other day the Mark Zuckerberg comment on metaverse, and he was saying that according to him, metaverse is simply an immersive virtual world in which we are supposed to interact with each other using specialized devices, having the entire realization of virtual and augmented reality. That's where it is going to head on. And it could be a huge market for business. It could be a huge market for researchers. It could be a huge market for getting job opportunity. So there is a win-win situation for everyone. Understanding this, we thought that let's repeat our lecture on metaverse. And today we are here with a second lecture on metaverse. And probably the people who have joined from all parts of the country will certainly get benefited out of this. Keep connected with us. We started this webinar series in the backdrop of COVID-19, and in which the wave 1 came, wave 2 came, so called whether wave 3 came or we leapfrog from that stage, and now wave 3 or 4 is occasionally disturbing us, and every day people are keeping watch that this should be done and this should not be done. But now the situation of COVID-19 will remain here. We have to learn to live with this kind of environment. So I always say that stay safe, stay healthy, stay vibrant, keep learning despite disruptions all around us. That has been the motto of this webinar. And keep registering for our forthcoming webinars. There are 4 more lecture series of evening which has already been announced, and if you have not registered, you may register for them. And we have also announced a seminar, national seminar on NEP 2020. Dr. Ritika will be sharing those details. And for information of all the participants, on the request of in fact the participants, all these technical sessions which are delivered by top-notch experts from the industry of their particular domain are being recorded, and its video recording is available on BBICAM YouTube channel for only academic dissemination purposes. And close to 2.5 lakhs views have already been received. So if you miss any part of this, or you want to repeat something and you want to know some more details, you can first go to our YouTube channel, go through the recording, and if you want to interact with the speaker again, you can drop us a WhatsApp, drop us an email, and we'll ensure that we get you connected with the speaker so that if you have an interest, you can take it forward. With this note, I would like to conclude that कि हर सैटरडे हम मिलते हैं। तो अमिताभ बच्चन ने अपने केबीसी में बताया अगले एपिसोड को मिस न करें। तो मैं हमेशा बताता हूँ कि फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, फूलों की तरह फिर खिलेंगे हम, और अगले सैटरडे एक नए टॉपिक के साथ फिर मिलेंगे हम। थैंक यू सो मच, विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट, गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल। ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर रितिका।
Thank you, sir. I would now welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Mr. Gaurav Arya, with an e-booking.
Thank you,
Gaurav,
Dr.
sir, is a technology and optimization enthusiast. As the Director of Technology at Nagaro, he leads deep technology engagements in the field of data, AI, IoT, and Metaverse. Gaurav is an expert in these areas and is always looking for ways to build sustainable solutions. His interest in the practical implementation of artificial intelligence and metaverse is particularly noteworthy, as he believes that these technologies can revolutionize the world we live in. I welcome you today to the session, sir, and will now request you to kindly enlighten the House.
Thank you, Dr. Ritika. Thank you, Professor Huda, for your beautiful words. And thank you, Ajay, for giving me this opportunity to speak here and connect to this beautiful audience. So I will share my screen right now, and please let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Cool. You can see it, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, thanks again. And today's topic is Metaverse, which we feel is a new frontier of digital interaction. And we'll see in this session how this is coming along and revolutionizing the world that we are living in. Before that, before moving to the topic, let me introduce myself. I am Gaurav, as Dr. Ritika introduced me. I'm a technology and optimization enthusiast. I'm mentoring, uh, colleagues from different colleges, from organizations, a few startups into this direction. And I'm a global practice leader at Nagaro for IoT analytics and Metaverse. I am also, working very closely with our freshers hiring team to hire the talent from various elite colleges across the country and taking care of the quality of hiring that we do. Here I have mentioned my LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to connect. And if you have any questions after this or any thoughts, I'll be very happy to connect on this topic or any other topic. So welcome to Metaverse that we are going to talk today. And before we move on, let us discuss what is Metaverse. I have kept this session at a very elementary level. We can call it a Metaverse 101. Probably with the help of Mr. Huda, Dr. Ritika, and Ajay, we can conduct more sessions to have a deep dive. But I thought it will be good to start with an elementary session where we people from different streams, different skill sets will be able to come on the same page on what metaverse is and how we should think about this technology and how it is revolutionizing the world that we are living in. So to start with, what is metaverse? Basically, the metaverse is a digital world, I would say, where people can interact with each other and virtual objects in a fully immersive way. It's like a giant video game that is shared by many people at the same time, where you can create your own characters, avatars, exploring different environments, play games, and even buy and sell things or participate in events that are happening across in this virtual world. And also, it can definitely interact with the real world. Also, it is a physical digital world that is being revolutionized. It has many use cases like education, entertainment, and business, and it is becoming more and more popular as technology advances and technology is maturing into this direction. The metaverse, I would say, is a new way of people to connect and have fun, and it's changing the way we experience the internet. Let's go a little deeper into the definition of metaverse. And Matthew Ball is a renowned personality and name in this area of metaverse. According to Matthew Ball, metaverse is a massively scaled and interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds that can be experienced synchronously and persistently by an effective unlimited number of users. with an individual sense of presence and with continuity of data such as identity, history, entitlements, objects, communications, and payments. So if we, try to look into this definition, these are certain key factors that definitely will go in detail. Like it has to be massively scaled, it has to be interoperable, it has to be real time, it has to be synchronous, persistent, and it definitely has to have a individual sense of presence, a very personification of each human being, just like in the real world. So out of this definition and otherwise, like we have, compiled or consolidated a few characteristics of a metaverse. For any use case to be called a metaverse use case, we should look, we should, pass through that use case or, through these characteristics. Let me go through a few of them very quickly. Like a metaverse, whenever we are thinking or building a metaverse, we have to think of a social experience. Like in the real world, the metaverse also has to have a very social connect. It is very important for people to adopt and be there and connect to this parallel universe that is in evolution, that is being built by various different experts in this area. The second thing is it has to be persistent. By persistent, what we mean is like when we connect to this world and then we connect off from this world, it should not be like the next time we are getting in, it will restart from somewhere like a game or something. Rather, it has to be persistent like the real world, which doesn't stop. And in our world, we call it a time. There, it could be called anything, similar to time that is there in the real world. And by persistent, it also means the true definition of metaverse, which is yet to be evolved, which is not there, is like it should evolve while it is persistent. So basically, let's say you are connected to this world for an hour and you made an avatar of yourself, you made a personality of yourself. But when you are disconnected, this personality that you have made into that world keeps persisting in that world. It keeps evolving. Let me give you an example here. Like, let's say in this world, you created a personality who wants to learn a guitar, right? And while you don't have to, mandatorily to have that skill, while your avatar can learn this guitar while you're away from this world, so that's what true persistence and evolution means for a metaverse. So while you are away, your avatar is still existing there, it is still learning, it is still evolving, and when you're connecting back, it's an evolved personality to the direction that you have given to your avatar. We can go in detail later also, but if I move to the third characteristic, which is economy, so this world, this universe, or this metaverse have to have its own economy to survive and to deal into. So just like NFTs or different types of digital currencies like Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, these currencies are being evolved, are evolving to support the economy of different types of metaverses. Then there is a decentralized control that has to happen. Like this metaverse should not be controlled by a single authority who can, bias the world uh, if that is required. So ideally, it should be controlled in a decentralized fashion. Decentralization is a very key aspect or characteristic of a metaverse, especially of a public metaverse. We'll see how many different types of metaverses are there in a couple of minutes. But especially for a public metaverse, decentralization is the key. And decentralization not just about the control, but about the processing power also. Decentralized, a metaverse requires a huge amount of compute, a huge amount of processing power, and that can be, that is possible only when the compute power is also decentralized, not on a single server. It has to be very immersive so that people are able to connect to this world and they are seamlessly able to achieve what they want to achieve there. Last but not the least is the boundless, means it has its own ground rules just like the real world, but it has to be boundless. It should not be limited to the functionalities that can happen. It should not be restricted to the number of users that can enter into this world. it has to be boundless, but definitely with the ground rules, just like the real world. Like humans cannot fly in real world. It's a ground rule for this universe. Similarly, there are ground rules for these metaverses as well that can be laid out by the decentralized authority that is governing the metaverse while giving the boundless experience to the users that are getting into the metaverse. If I move on to the next step, let's see how metaverse is evolving. Dr. Ritika gave us an example of 1992 for Snow Crash, and we can see like metaverse, term is new, but the concept is not new. It is existing right from 1938 in different shapes and practices, starting from virtual reality and getting evolved to the metaverse of today. And like Professor Huda said, like it will evolve further to a lot different level, while amalgamation of different technologies is taking a play today, and we'll discuss how in a couple of minutes. So if I take you step by step via this journey very quickly. So right in 1950, it is like Cinerama was a prototype of a 3D immersive cinema experience invented by Morton P. Gillig in 1950. As I said, it was a mechanical device that used stereoscopic 3D sound, smell, and even wind to create a fully immersive experience. This sensorama consisted of a viewing hood with a screen, speakers, and various mechanical devices that simulated different sensations basically. So the metaverse that we are looking today is majorly digital. How it will evolve, like Professor Huda said also, like it might not even require the headset. It might not even require the devices that are being required today, and it might have even more capabilities to it. And it is not new, like I said, since 1950, it is being tried upon, being evolving with time. So Sensorama, if I come back to this, it allowed viewers to feel like they are actually inside, the film they are watching, just like 4D, 5D movies of today. It was a groundbreaking invention at that time, and it laid the groundwork for modern virtual reality technology, that is there today. Although it never became popular because it was, ahead of its time. It was definitely it was an important step in the development of immersive experiences, expectations that were set at that time. So if I move on again, in 1982, Tron is basically another science fiction film released in 1982. It was, ahead of its time again in 1982 in the terms of visual effects that used to be there at that point of time. The movie, tells the story of a computer programmer who is transported into a digital world where he had to compete in a series of games to escape from that world. This film is again a very set the base for the use of CGI, computer graphics imagery, and it has influenced many other movies post 1982 era, and also the video games that are released after that. If we move on, Neuromancer again is a science fiction novel, this time published in 1984. The book is set in a dystopian future, it was a very futuristic concept where artificial intelligence, cyberspace, and virtual reality are prevalent in that particular fictional world. It tells the story of a washed actor who is hired for a dangerous job to steal an AI program, basically. And Neuromancer has been highly influential in science fiction and popular culture. Similar to that, Snow Crash that Dr. Ritika mentioned is again a novel in this area, where it is about a place in the future world where society is falling apart. Again, kind of a dystopia. This story is about again a hacker and a skateboard courier who try to stop a dangerous virus that can affect both human and the computers. Again, this is like a combination of a funny and creative take on the cyberpunk genre, and has had a high impact on science fiction and popular culture at that point of time. Moving on, like Ultima Online. So by this time, games were getting influenced by these fictional films and novels that came into being. In 1997, basically, Ultima Online is one of the earliest, and most influential, massively multiplayer online role-playing game again, and it allowed players to create their own identities, their own characters, explore a vast variety and of specifics in the virtual world, and interact with each other to make an environment in the real time. And again, it set the base at that time because it allowed players to create their own characters, avatars, and in the real time they're interacting with each other. This is another game that got very popular in simulating the real life in the year 2000, where the game or allows, I would say, because it is still there, to create and control virtual environments, characters, and they were called simulations of real world and the people basically. And as they go about their daily lives in a suburban neighborhood, basically at that time, players could customize their avatars, personalities, relationships, characters, and again, it allowed users to create their own stories and they could customize their environments in the virtual world in this particular game. Second Life, I'm sure a lot of you might have heard of, and this was like a new generation, modern version of the examples that I've given so far. And it was, created in 2003 for the first time, again on the similar concepts. But I think it allowed, a lot different kind of experience, a lot modern kind of experience, which included education, socializing, and even therapies in this, virtual world. That's why they called it a second life, just like the real life. And Second Life is still active today and remains a very popular virtual world for people around the world. Post that, basically, a lot of devices start coming into being, and we have seen a lot of devices like Oculus 3D. At that point of time, it was like uh, Facebook, and they launched this device, Oculus. It is a virtual reality device that creates immersive experiences using motion, cameras, tracking, high resolution displays. It plays a significant role in popularizing virtual reality and these concepts, and has become the major player in the industry. And the brand has released several iterations of their headset over the years, and including the one that is there now, which is like the Quest series. Quest 2 and Quest Pro are the active devices, current devices in the market. And also, the technology is maturing. Earlier, it was like these were a wired setup, and the entire compute was running in a high-end GPU laptops. But now the compute is optimized to certain extent that these are very portable devices and very low cost. I would say it still needs to be worked upon to bring the cost further, but it is now coming in a manageable, cost bracket of like $300 or $400 for the Quest 2 device. And similar to this, there are a lot more devices like HTC Vive. Again, it has a big area that you can create a setup in your room of about 100 meters, 100 square meters, and you can set up this area and then you can move around, play with some controllers in the headset, and they can track you seamlessly with the help of LiDAR sensors, cameras, etc. Similar to these, our Indian, uh, company like Reliance Jio, they are also ventured into this space and they acquired company called Tesseract. So now they are launching. They already have launched this device more into like gaming, retail, where you can be into the virtual malls. You can do shopping. You can try out stuff onto your avatars, and then you can place orders while your orders are being shipped to your physical addresses. So, if I move on, these are some examples of platforms that are there in the market today in this area of metaverse. These are very renowned platforms like Sandbox, which gives you an avatar builder before you get into the real uh, metaverse environment and you are meeting different people. You can adopt different personalities, which might or might not be similar to your real personality that you are, and you can be a completely virtual person in that world with a different personality. Decentraland, again by the name, it is governed by a very decentralized authority, any feature that they introduce in Decentraland are, based on consensus and voting, and they have a digital currency called Mana, and people can invest in this digital currency that decentralized is based upon, which is Mana again. I'm just telling the name. And a lot of companies, corporates are adopting Decentraland to launch their stores and offices, virtual offices in Decentraland. Just like, EY, Ernst and Young, they have launched their office in Decentraland, and they are specifically taking use cases like hiring. They are inviting candidates into their virtual offices. They are conducting interviews. They are walking them through their virtual offices and showcasing their culture in virtual world. Apart from that, there are other corporates that are trying to venture in, like Samsung. They are launching phones into virtual world like Decentraland, and a lot more. Then it is Meta. It was a huge leapfrog from Facebook to Meta. They completely rebranded themselves to Meta in, I think, 2021. Where they started venturing into the virtual spaces and focusing majorly into virtual offices. And recently, last year, they had tied up with different companies like Microsoft also to launch their Office 365, different workspace tools into the virtual world, or I would say metaverse like Meta. And they have a very good portfolio of collaboration tools that come out of the box with Meta, and the support is seamlessly with their virtual reality device, which is Meta Quest 2. The last example on the slide, a lot other platforms are there, but the last example on the slide is about Roblox. This is a very, very renowned tool in the gaming world, especially for kids, where it enables a beautiful creator economy where kids themselves can create games and virtual reality games, and very seamlessly they can provide these games for others to play, and they are monetizing their games via this platform, where kids of age roughly from 15 to 20 years, they are becoming millionaires by creating and publicizing their games in the Roblox. And Roblox has already started their journey to metaverse, to make it more aligned to metaverse ground rules characteristics, to make it a metaverse environment. Apart from these four, there are a lot more specialized metaverses as well. So if I talk about Sandbox is a desktop-based platform. Decentraland is again a browser and desktop-based platform, while they are trying to venture into headset-based virtual reality devices also. Meta is a VR head-mount devices first environment of metaverse, while they are also supporting desktop or a browser-based environment. Roblox is again a desktop-based. By desktop-based, I mean like they provide executables or Mac builds where you can install your environment onto your Mac or a laptop, and then you start getting into this universe or metaverse. Apart from this, there are mobile-based retail experiences also like Zapito and many others who have specialized a particular business segment like retail for Zapito. So if I move on, like metaverse is not just a extended reality, or we can say a virtual reality environment. It's basically a very device independent, like I gave examples on mobile, browsers, desktop, laptop, and head mount devices. It has to have their economy and like different types of functionalities like digital commerce, NFTs play a big role. Infrastructure like Web3, blockchain technologies, virtual reality technologies play a very important role for a metaverse. And again, like it supports a lot of use cases like gaming. People can build their social media experiences, workplaces, digital assets. They can sell these digital assets, and everything is governed by technology in future, like NLPs, where you can seamlessly talk to this world. You can seamlessly talk to other people in the world and interact with them seamlessly. Now the next step, if we move on towards like what are the different types of metaverses, we have like private metaverse, where these metaverse are centrally governed. They are not following the decentralized characteristic of an ideal metaverse. because these metaverses are like, let's say, Indian government is creating a metaverse for Indian citizens, or let's say United Arab Emirates, a healthcare department is rolling out a metaverse for their patients or citizens to come and take, let's say, mental therapies or some educational trainings. So these kind of metaverses, private metaverses, are managed virtual spaces where organizations can, control the access to these environments or metaverse. Then, as I have already given example, like the government authorities, healthcare, research centers, these are a very good examples of a private metaverse. Then, virtual universities, you can say, or learning centers, they can roll out their private metaverse. If I move on to public metaverse, these are like permissionless generally, but of course, it has to monitor about anti-social and other anti-ethical, elements. But these are generally permissionless. Anyone can access to public metaverses in nature. These are completely decentralized based on technologies like Web3 and blockchain, and are used to provide equal rights of access to the virtual spaces and its components. Example here are like public metaverses like Decentraland, where companies like BMW, Samsung, they are opening up their stores, and then basically they are there for branding purposes, or digital selling purposes, where they have a physical digital store where they take the orders from virtual world and they ship it to the real world. Or also they are supporting the shopping experience for your avatars, because avatars is a personality into the virtual world. So just like you want to maintain a certain type of personality in the real world, you would like to maintain a certain type of personality into the virtual world. So a lot of companies are now bringing accessories, clothes, shoes, etc. for your avatars also. So if I talk about Omniverse very quickly, it is basically an amalgamation of different types of metaverses. So this is far in the future, maybe down the line 3-4 years. But right now it is a concept where one metaverse or a one universe is talking to the other universe, and this is definitely driven by standards in the industry, mostly built on top of Web3 today, and like Web4, Web5, these things are coming. Then tools and technologies interoperability is a must and very critical for its success. Where an experience built for one metaverse should be able to give similar experience or the customized experience as per the ground rules of the other metaverse, while helping organizations to create ones and deploy to different types of metaverses. And here again, it could be like branding in more than one metaverses. Reusability can be a use case for Omniverse. And let's see, like these are the different types of metaverses, how it evolved, different types of platforms we have seen. Now let's see, like what are the building blocks, how to conceptualize a metaverse from grounds up. We can go to n level of detail, but I have tried to simplify this for the very first elementary session. These are the three major categories or layers of, which we can talk as a building blocks of metaverse. Where at the ground level, it's the infrastructure, basically the compute or the cloud platform where it is running, which is giving us a framework, kind of a spatial system, just like the spatial system in the real world. Like we have United States of America, India, Africa, Australia. We have latitudes and longitudes, the geospatial system in the real world. Similarly, there is a geospatial system into the virtual world, like of metaverse as well. While a lot of companies provide you this infrastructure, like Decentraland we talked about, Sandbox we talked about, they provide you complete infra and the framework and the spatial system on top of it. How should we conceptualize it? The next layer is the creator economy, who will use this infrastructure and the framework, and who will create different experiences out of these infrastructure and frameworks, just like virtual showrooms, virtual clinics, or a complete virtual government, or a city, I would say, where you have virtual parks, virtual homes, virtual experiences like retail experiences, games. A lot is happening, events are happening in a virtual city. So from where this comes is from the creator economy, people who are expert in creating these virtual experiences. And finally, the third layer is the experience itself, where people like us who get into these worlds and takes these experiences. It is very important to see like how we discover how seamlessly a layman can adopt these metaverses. So that's why this is a very important layer of experience, which needs discovery, so that people can discover these experiences and take these experiences in the real world. Uh, if I move on, like what are the opportunities now we can solve or think about uh, via metaverse? I think we have talked a lot, and by this time, I'm sure a lot of opportunities and use cases are already there in your mind for metaverse. But I would like to take a pause here and talk about, we'll see the real use cases or opportunities of metaverse. But like Professor Huda said, like it is evolving and we don't know what shape it will take in, let's say, 3 4 years or 5 years, but definitely it is going to disrupt the world, the way we perceive today. So if I try to tie it up with different types of technologies to identify the futuristic opportunities that can be enabled via metaverse and the peripheral technologies. So I'm sure many of you have heard the buzz these days of generative AI, or a lot of you might have known it by the name ChatGPT or similar names. A lot is happening in the world. Some things are happening where people are working a lot towards creating 2D images, or conceptualizing imagery of whatever we speak. Let's say if I speak a girl wearing a red frock on a stairs in a rainy environment, there are tools today who can bring up images, beautiful images, different types of images of a girl sitting on a stairs wearing red frock in a rainy environment. There are tools which can extend these images to create the world around it. Then there are tools, and by the way, the tools that I'm talking about for the first thing is Google DALI 2. They are creating very beautiful images with the prompts and the words that we speak to the system. Then there are separate set of people who are working towards converting the 2D conceptualization or 2D images to 3D worlds, creating real-time 3D and 3D like environments from 2D images itself. So see, like, where are we heading towards? When I speak, there are tools that can create 2D images out of it. There are tools that can convert this 2D to 3D images. Then there are further tools that can seamlessly stream these 3D images to your desktop, browser, or head-mount devices. And with the help of 5G, it is going to be real. Like you have a dedicated bandwidth channel for these types of use cases where you can render into the cloud or a remote environment while a user is consuming these in the real time in a very high resolution section. Then on top of it, like how it started, I am giving the prompts. But now with the advent of Chat GPT and generative AI, it is able to conceptualize. It is able to create these words in real time for you, just like a human, and it converses with you like in a very human type fashion. So now, if I attach the Chat GPT or generative AI to this, time is not far where a complete virtual world or a complete metaverse is being evolving by itself, where generative AI is conceptualizing this world. Tools like 2D imagery are creating the 2D environments out of this conceptualization. There are then 3D images are being created and being served to us via technologies like 5G. So it is going to be very, very fast paced. So I believe like every year the technology is becoming evolving 10x the speed it is evolving for the past year. So now you can imagine what kind of opportunities can be created, solved, or can be experiences with the help of metaverse and the kind of technologies that are coming in. So but let's get back to the real world. What kind of opportunities people are solving today with the help of metaverse kind of technologies? Let's see about that. So gaming is a very early adopters of metaverse, and as we have seen from evolution itself, But today, a lot of very popular games like Eve Online, World of Warcraft, Second Life, Minecraft, Fortnite, these are a very immersive, very economy-oriented games that are being created with Metaverse to glue the audience, kids, and even elderly people into these by creating real-world kind of environments. So if I talk about one of them, let's say the Fortnite, this is a battle royale game that has become a cultural phenomenon since its release in 2017. Basically, it offers a fast-paced, competitive gameplay as well as social experience like virtual concerts, live events. Those are happening in this world in a very gamified fashion, where you just feel like the real world while you enter to this world. Moving on to like retail stores that are launched, I thought rather than talking about the use cases of retail, why not talk about what are the real companies who exist in the metaverse, different metaverses, and how they are, what they are doing and what they are, playing. As I already talked about Samsung in Decentraland, I will not talk like they are launching phones and what all they are doing. You can see a real, virtual stores in metaverse, different types of metaverses for Gucci, Nike, Samsung, Audi, Adidas. So now if I talk about Audi, like it's a German car manufacturer, which we all see Audi in India as well as a premium brand. So they have launched a virtual showroom in 2021 in the online game again Fortnite that we saw in the previous slide. So as I said, Fortnite is making it just like real, not just like a game. So they have different real brands into the virtual environment where Audi has, as I said, has launched online store in game Fortnite where players can explore, interact with the company's latest car models, basically, which are future models also, just like automotive shows auto expos that happen in the real world. There are auto expos happening in the metaverses also today. If I move on, like manufacturing is also a very good adopter of metaverse, where they are creating use cases like virtual design and prototyping. So before setting up a factory, before setting up a new line in the factory, assembly line, let's say, they do a lot of virtual design and prototyping into metaverse, so that it gives them an early advantage, a fail-safe approach, and a very low-cost approach compared to the real prototypes in the real world. They could roll out virtual assembly lines where they can monitor these assembly lines that are working in the real world. It can Metaverses are helping them remotely collaborate and training use cases like for workers, for their partners, and then they can create digital twins of their products, their processes, their environments into these virtual worlds like metaverses. If I move on, like there are a lot more, industries that are adopting metaverse, but to keep because of time, that I've kept four. Healthcare is another industry that is, adopting metaverse for their, health training, some very simple or specific, content training for patients, patient education, I mean, and then, therapies like mental health, where, people can get onto this virtual world, and this virtual world avatars or these twins can guide them around some meditation kind of therapies or mental health therapies. A lot of cognitive like sight or hearing aid therapies, these therapies are also happening in metaverse. And also the telemedicine, which is like a kind of a website these days, is also evolving to metaverse. So these are the areas where people are adopting metaverse into, and the opportunities that we are solving today, along with a foresight like we discussed. Like with other technologies, very soon it is being accelerated to evolve a lot faster in upcoming years. So I think this was up to here. It was a session like how metaverse is evolving, what are the use cases, what are the building blocks, what are the platforms that we have in this world. Let me move on to like some examples of metaverse, videos that I have brought in to show you. Let me play this video. So this is a in-house demo that or prototype that we have built in our organization Nagaro, where this is our Philippines office. You can see like It is just like the real office created into the virtual world. So to show like real and virtual can definitely collaborate, or you can again create a total sci-fi office as well if you want to into the virtual world. But this is to show you like the physics like real world works in the virtual world also. People can walk, people can see things, people can grab things. So if I move on, like you can take a complete experience and you can grab mouse, you can grab keyboard, you can type on the keyboard, etc., etc. So if I move on, like this is the second video and another example of a few friends who want to go to a mall, but while they are away, they are not located in the same city, but they together want to go to a mall, and Metaverse is the solution, one of the solutions, of course. So one second, my bad. Let me play it from here. So again, like they want to go to a mall, and how the user journey would look like in this particular case. The mall has their virtual presence, and these are the two friends who want to meet up at a mall, and they want to invite other friends also. While this girl is not present physically or might not be able to go, she says that she can join from a virtual world from via a metaverse, and the form factor that she's using is of a mobile phone. As I said, anything can be a form factor, not necessarily a virtual device. Sorry, again, my bad. It is not working on click. So let me let it seamlessly go. So as I said, she is joining via a mobile phone, and there is another friend who is joining via a laptop. Very soon we'll see. They are inviting another friend. This is Mike, who is joining via his laptop to the same mall, getting to a different location into the mall, and soon they'll meet at the fountain area where Mike is there with her avatar. Nancy is there. There is a lot of people and stuff is happening. Events are happening. Treasure hunt is happening, and they are playing. They are participating into treasure hunt, and they, let's say, won a coupon while they are not physically there. Let's say this coupon is for to redeem a coffee at a Starbucks while some of their friends are physically there. So we are conceptualizing like people are joining via phone, via laptop, and they are physically also there. So and these are some virtual walls into the real world that is again connected to that metaverse where these friends are via connecting via metaverse, and these friends are there in the real time, and they are sending the coupons for them to redeem at the Starbucks. So similarly, like it will be an amalgamation of both real world, virtual world, and different types of virtual world called metaverses once we will evolve to a omniverse in the future, basically. So that was majorly it from my side. But before moving on, I would say that I would definitely recommend a book, which is again from the same person, Matthew Ball. We saw the definition about. He's a one of the very renowned personalities into metaverse, and this is a very beautiful book that is there. And this is a link that for his content that you can explore different kind of use cases, different kind of thoughts that are there in the society for metaverse. Feel free to follow this if you would like to.
Thank you, Gaurav sir. Thank you so much for the enlightening deliberation. I'm sure this insightful session has enlightened the participants about the real life applications of Metaverse. There are certain questions by the participant which I would like to now take up with your permission.
Thank you, Dr.
The first question we have, what are the two most common applications of Metaverse which common man is going to experience in this year or in the near future?
So I would say like this year, or in fact, people are using, as I mentioned in my session also, like gaming is a very early adopter of metaverse. So metaverse is giving new horizons to gaming as well. Right now, like gaming is not very persistent. When you join, you play, you move off, you start a new game next time. But now gaming is evolving with metaverse, where the gaming is more persistent. You build your world, you build your empire, you then take it, you buy things like your car, your shoes in the virtual world. You go to the roads, you meet people. So Fortnite and these kind of games are possible now with Metaverse. The second use case, I would say, I'm talking about industry so that it gives a broader picture rather than a very specific use case. The second industry which is adopting Metaverse a lot is the retail industry, especially targeting to youth, where youth is more excited towards things like avatars, different types of fashion things, accessories that they would like to buy for themselves and for their avatars. So second thing is retail that is happening today itself.
Absolutely. Second question we have, what all basic capabilities should a fresher metaverse enthusiast try and develop?
Definitely. So even if I said in my session that metaverse is not just a VR, but by the thing itself, you can catch VR is ultimately a very important building block of a metaverse. So I would say you can start with tools like Unity 3D, and from the server standpoint or from the web standpoint, you can start from technologies like Web3. While Web3 gives you a knowledge of the ecosystem, the governance, how to conceptualize a metaverse, Unity 3D gives you a very good potential or a skill to create immersive experiences into this world called metaverse.
Yes, sir. So next question we have, metaverse applications shall be a big attraction, especially to the kids and the elderly. How shall security be ensured in terms of their health as well as information?
Yeah. So very good question, I would say, and a very deep question. Because metaverse, as I said, gaming is the early adopter, and like any other game or any other virtual immersive thing, it can attract you a lot, and you forget the hang on a time, and you use it more than what it is recommended to be used. And also, while the technology is not mature enough, the devices are not very well tested and they are not very mature enough to give you a very light and a very health conscious experience. I would say there are, because the technology is evolving, there are consortiums and authorities that are getting together to, define the guidelines, define the certification guidelines for these kind of devices and ecosystems. We are looking, day by day, like countries, governments, they are coming together to define. Like in Saudi Arabia, there are, laws now for how you can behave into the metaverse, and there are real punishments if you misbehave in metaverse itself. And from the health standpoint, I would come like these companies like Oculus and HTC. They are investing a lot on how to make it, good for people's health. How to make it like people can use it for longer terms without a health impact.
Absolutely. There, one more question I have, which I see is very interesting. There has been a lot of talk of metaverse in the last 2 years. Does the future application of metaverse look bright, or you still see some challenges in India? For example, virtual reality has been existing very long, but still the use cases are limited.
Yes. So if you reflect back, like why the use cases are limited, it is because it is virtual reality is purely dependent on head mount devices, different types of devices, which are very expensive devices today. But in future, just like mobile phones, when they came into being, they were expensive, they were bulky. With time, these devices will also improve and adapt, and they will be very lightweight. You might have already started seeing different smart glasses from Ray-Ban or Geo Tesseract, which are like just like your sunglasses or shades. So technology is evolving, and in fact, companies are working on creating eye lenses also, which can give you virtual reality and metaverse experiences. So I would say it will still take a few years. It is not very near that it will evolve, and it will evolve and become a success along with other technologies like generative AI. So with an ecosystem and with an advancement into the hardware industry for this specific for this area, it will become a huge success.
Absolutely, sir. Very rightly said. And thank you so much for this wonderful session today. I would now request Professor Huda sir to kindly present a certificate to Gaurav Arya sir as a token of remembrance for this wonderful session today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav. In such a short time, you explained it so nicely. And I got an opportunity to attend the entire session, and then I'm reminded of the fact that how in a small and limited time the subject can be introduced. Once Bill Gates said that technological innovation in no other civilization has given so much to so many people in such a short time. So
Absolutely.
yeah, this 1 hour, but rightly you have introduced the topic, and as you also agreed, and I said that the technology is evolving, the concept itself is evolving, and probably the fundamental pillars on which the metaverse is going to be based, like extended reality, user interactivity,
Yeah.
AI, of course, now generative AI,
Yeah.
blockchain, computing vision, IoT, robotics, and so on and so forth. These technologies itself are evolving, and almost a major paradigm shift is happening in these technologies. And because the major paradigm shift is happening in this technology, so metaverse will also take absolutely different phase in coming days.
Yeah.
So probably more and more lectures on metaverse will be required in coming days to
Absolutely.
introduce the subject. And you rightly said, so we can run an entire series on metaverse with maybe an alternate month or like that. So I will come back to you for that. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for delivering this wonderful session. And this certificate is not for the purpose of certification, but for the purpose of remembrance that you have been part of this webinar series, and that too at the earliest stage of the technology. Because after maybe a decade or two, it might be possible that we may say that when the technology was in the stage of the infancy, then we did a series of technical lectures on this series. So thank you so much for such a wonderful session.
No,
And
thanks
right.
to you, Dr. Ritika and Professor Huda, and of course Ajay. Like, it was really a delightful experience and totally my pleasure to be here. And the way you have so smoothly, conducted the whole experience of starting from the first discussion to delivering this session here. Thank you very much.
And thank you
I
so
would
much.
I would also request sir to share the e-memento with Gaurav sir.
So this memento is also a part of the same remembrance. And primarily, if you ask, I will tell that this is also the part of the metaverse, because we are moving entire interaction from a physical world to the digital world. May not be 3D, may not be virtual reality, may not be augmented reality, but we are shifting primarily the interaction method right from the bouquet, certification, and the memento. So this is just the beginning. So thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav.
Yeah, thank you. And we are becoming sustainable with this.